Hare Krishna friends, I'm Gajanand agarwal from CowGrazing.com. Today we are meeting one of the most important personalities in India. His name is Prashanti de Jager. He is the person who started organic business in India in 1990, and he introduced a lot of different things in India related to organic. Organic India is the company he started. He also started exporting herbs and making medicines with the herbs, and lot of different things he began doing. For a long period of time in the business of organic, his name was always there. He's also written 47 books, and we will be discussing about some of the books in this video interview. And he has created one network called vedamandala.com. Basically for people, intellects who want to discuss on higher topics, they can be part of the vedamandala.com and they can connect with him and know more about a lot of different researches which he has done. There are so many things I want to talk about him, but I think once you will start hearing the interview, you will know it in a much better format. So let me show you the interview now. Hare Krishna. Prashanti ji, so nice to talk to you, and I've heard so many things about you from my different friends, Sanjeev Sharma ji, from Jim Corbett, and also from our close friend Santosh Thomas. And I think we had like a 1 hour discussion only about you. He's so passionate and so he loves you so much.
Yes.
And he respects you so much, like he explained me so many things, and he didn't explain me one thing so much, but so many things little bit, so that then I have so many things to discuss in detail. So I would like to start with your journey in India. How you started, how did you come to India, and what did you start in? I know it already, but for my friends I would like to know what were your goals and vision and all that.
So I was actually in Ann Arbor studying at the University of Michigan. I studied for about 10 years, got many degrees, master's degrees in aerospace engineering, working on a PhD in biophysics. And then I had to go to India. And there was I had great jobs. I was working on so many projects, this space plane, and also while doing the aerospace engineering, I was getting the PhD. And suddenly I just had to go to India and just got so passionate about it. And so I got rid of all my possessions and actually flew to London and tried to make it to India overland. This is 1990. So many adventures. So I finally make it. So many adventures. Like I had this was right before the Gulf War. So I had the Middle East to myself. I had the pyramids to myself, things like this. Almost like I got initiated. I had the Great Pyramid to myself for a week, inside and on top. So I finally make it to India. And I had this list of all these gurus. I had to find a guru. That was the drive. And I had 3 pages of people, places, and
So you were exploring different gurus and their learned teachings.
I had to find a guru. But Ram Das, about 6 months before that, he had told me about this one teacher in Lucknow.
Neem Karoli?
Yeah, Neem Karoli Baba. Yeah, he was a friend back then. This is 1990. So I remember May 1st is when he told me, 1990. He told me about this one person. This was in Ann Arbor. So I leave Ann Arbor, go to India, find this person. And the rest is history. It was, when
He was not alive, right, that time?
No.
He was Neem Karoli Baba. You met him?
Oh no. This was a Ram Das devotee of Neem Karoli Baba. So he had contacts. So he wrote me letters of introduction and things to different places. This is 1990, way before the internet. And so I come to India and I was going to come for 3 months, and I end up staying for like 9 years.
Wow.
Studying with so many topics from so many different teachers, including my own teacher, Sri H.W. Alpunja, disciple of Ramana. it's a great. It's they say Shiva lives in Kailash, but that Shiva is Arunachala in the south, and so the lineages Arunachala, Ranga Maharshi, and then Sri Stavira Puja. And I also sat with many other great teachers, and that's where I got this whole thing of the Veda Mandala. Just learning all these different Vedic sciences.
Interesting.
And just practice and study hardcore for these 8
So
years.
this venture of organic, what you started in India, that started in the beginning of your time in India or after this 9 years?
Well, it kind of evolved because it started with getting sick and treating myself, and then started to treat other people and studying so much Ayurveda and setting up a clinic, so to speak, in Lucknow.
This is which year?
Starting in 1990.
1990 you started, huh? Like searching for herbs, healing your own self and helping others.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then, so all these people were coming to Lucknow to meet this yogi saint. Tourists, travelers, dharma bums, so many different types of people.
I think you were the first one to start the organic official something in India, among the top first.
Well, what happened is, I have such a sense of quality. It's like huge, and so as I started this clinic and started working with people, I couldn't find in all the companies in North India, I couldn't find a company good enough. And I went to Dabur, and they were, as I go there, they're pouring this dump truck full of rotten amla into their hopper to make Chawanaprash.
Oh.
And all these, I go to this other Badinath, and they're keeping all their herbs in burlap sacks outside with the rat shit. It's horrible. So I didn't want to start an herb company, but I had to have good quality herbs. So I started growing and wall crafting my own herbs.
Wow.
And then people would order, they'd take it home with them, 1 kg, 2 kg. Then this woman in France ordered like 500 kg. So then Santosh and I got together to fill that order. And that was the beginning of
the Organic India.
Yeah.
Amazing. The Organic India was, I think, I know it's like, I used to hear only this name when I used to talk about organic. I hear about organic, discuss about organic in the 90s and later also for a long time. And I was always in suspense, who is the creator. And today after 30 years, I know him. The person is sitting here who started the organic movement, and he directly started exporting. India had no idea of organic then. And even today we are struggling, but he did a good job, like helping Indian villages, tribals, and helping all the profits used for them again. Such a great work. Seriously. I respect Santosh and you, this part. Really.
Somebody else changed hands, so to speak, a few years later. But yeah, we started it, Santosh and I.
And now his partner Santosh, he actually has a different name, but Santosh is the nickname we use. He doesn't want to be known. That's why I couldn't find him.
Right.
He doesn't want to be known.
Such an amazing
He doesn't want to leave a mark. So, but anyway, somehow I found him, or maybe he found me and then I found him. So it was a great spiritual experience when I met him. There's a whole series of discussions which I will share later in another video with his family. So the idea is this: they make the highest quality products. Now they're making soaps and also edibles and oils, I think, and a lot of things. Very high quality. They are priced also at very high, but all the profit is used mainly for charity work, because they say that we have enough money for our livelihood, everything, so we use all the money for charity. And when you go to that factory of theirs, it's almost like a temple, and while walking to that whole area where they are, within half a kilometer, I would say, it's like a spiritual place, like from coming, banging the door, the bells, and then, it's such a beautiful atmosphere they have created. So it's so good. Like, I think a lot of people should get inspired to do similar in same attitude, like only do the highest quality and,
Right.
and so that people can really get benefits of Ayurveda, organic, and all that. It's so good. And I also wanted to ask you about, your research, because since 30 years you are already from such a big student of such a big university. So and you came here to research something different, or maybe something higher. And I think 30 years you've been studying and writing 47 books you have written so much.
Various
Like
forms
compiled.
of complete.
47 books have been compiled by him. And the topics might look simple, like turmeric, one of the books. But when you see the preface, and the forward is by Dr. Frawley, I mean, such a big person. When I see the angles of the turmeric, book, it's so vast. I could never think so many angles. And the spiritual angle, the technical angle,
Exactly.
the rituals, the history behind turmeric, why it came, so many things. I mean, that book is awesome. I'll show the cover in the slides in the coming session or video. So maybe we can discuss something, some essence of your research, whatever you would like to start off with, and then I'll put questions accordingly.
First of all, that book was written in 1996. Realize it was the only turmeric book on Amazon for like 15 years or so.
Wow.
So it was so it's also a little bit before its time. And that's another kind of thing that I do. There's yoga and all these Vedic sciences are so vast, and yet so little is actually out in the world. And so like turmeric, nobody knew about it back in the 90s, even in the 2000s. And so bringing these unknown things that are really high quality and very important for us, bringing those to the public, bringing them to the West, and creating these classes and courses and books on them. For instance, like Tejas. Tejas is grounded, intentional, spirited, creative willpower, right? It's the metric of greatness in yoga and Ayurveda. Kings and queens and warriors and saints and poets, they didn't, all their greatness was in terms of their Tejas. But nobody even knows. It's a metric of greatness in yoga and Ayurveda, right? But nobody even knows what it is or how to develop it. So topics like that. But in general, my forte, I have such a wide education experience as far as math and physics, as far as Western bioscience, and then all these different Vedic sciences. And I've studied so many Vedic sciences and studied them deeply. Even Dhanurveda. Like, who knows the science of archery? The yoga of weapons.
More than who knows, people don't know. Why should we know?
Yeah.
That's the question. Why should we know Dhanurveda now? What is the use of it? We are not going to play around with that. So people, they don't have that. Right. Why they are just into their stereotype life.
Yeah, people are filled with fear these days. I put a bow in your hand, and within 15 minutes, you lose your fear. People are scattered. They have no focus. I put a bow in your hand for 15 minutes. People have anger issues, fire issues. I put a bow in your hand, and I can get rid of your anger issues.
Yeah.
It treats so much. There's a reason why the monks were trained as warriors, and the warriors were trained as monks, and the bow is the common ground.
Wow.
In Sanskrit, there's like 100 names for the bow and 150 words for arrow or something. So, the metaphors are endless. And it's basically, you got 8 limbs of yoga. It's the 6th limb. 6th limb is dharana, the focus exercises. The bow is one of the greatest dharana practices. And the 6th limb is like where yoga starts. All those other limbs, the yams and niyams and asana, pranayama.
It has a whole history, whole culture, whole parampara behind it.
Huge.
Also a lot of different connections which we cannot see,
No doubt.
Mostly spiritual connections. It's not just the killing and that. It's not just the game, but there's some basis behind that, which is unknown.
No doubt. I was raised in northern Michigan. I hunted. I hunted with a bow my whole life since I was 5 years old. And so often I'd just be at full draw on a deer or something. Seldom would I shoot. But the point is Dhanurveda is just one of many sciences that are needed, like Darpana, the yoga of relationship. Vastu Shastra, which can be used to not just design a house, but design a relationship or a formula. The yantra, the mantras, the yagnas, the tantra, yoga, Ayurveda, the vastness of Ayurveda, Baisaj Kalpana, the making of medicines is so important. Like, if people really knew how to make a medicine, like, they wouldn't even have to buy things, and they give their power away. If they then one of my goals is that every kitchen becomes a pharmacy.
Amazing.
Because then you take the power out of these.
I call it kitchen chemist.
Yeah. The quality is going to go up. The sustainability is going to go up. People are empowered. They're not just empowered by some corporate ad that tells you need these products.
Do you have a course on this idea of converting a kitchen into a
I teach so many. In 20 years ago, one of America's favorite models, Christy Turlington. I don't know if you know her. Just such a precious being. So for 3 years, we were in New York working. She was creating an Ayurvedic line of beauty products. So that's where I really got. I was making medicines before that and beauty products before that. But that's where I really got, teaching a massive amount of people.
Wow.
Yeah, it's all about.
So did you help
empowerment.
her in that?
Oh yeah.
It's still going?
It's called Sundari.
Sundari.
Yeah. They pronounce it a French way, Sundari, but Sundari. Yeah, she sold it.
She sold the brand.
Yeah, in 2003 or so. She wanted to have children, so yeah. But it was a great time. But the point is I've been teaching so many different things. One of my goals with medicine making, with the base Kalpana part of it, is 10-10. You make something 10 times better for 1/10 the price.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And if people knew it.
It's called efficiency. Like that's what it is, efficiency.
Right.
You try to give highest quality for most reasonable price that people can afford.
Right. And also the soil to shelf thing. Because if you got to be accountable, if you're actually growing something, this is why Organic India was started soil to shelf. Any company that depends on brokers, forget it. You can't trust that broker. Even if the broker is trustworthy, you can't trust the broker for your herbs or whatever, for your materials. So if you're growing them, if you're in contact, with
it has to be sourced with your own hand, with your own, with your own supervision.
Soil to shelf.
Then only you can really get the result.
Exactly.
That's the main thing. That's what it is. The medicine is all about that.
Yeah.
Even I know some Vaidyas in South India, they pray it before they harvest it. They have a special prayer so that the more juice can come with the
100%.
same herb. So
here's something for you. So I work a lot above the tree line in the Bugyo. And when I'm up there, sometimes, the prana is so strong. And the prana just isn't like the energetic thing. It's a being. And so it's an eloquent being. And so sometimes it's like the prana or the life force gets turned up so high that I only see life. Like anywhere I look, it's just pure life. So that tells me that a spirit-centric worldview is primary. If I see spirit, life. And then the volume gets turned down and I start seeing strategies, like strategy flying above me or strategy running in front of me. And so these strategies are these energetic trajectories of life. And so it tells me an energy-centric worldview is secondary, like Ayurveda or Chinese medicine. And then the volume gets turned down all the way, and then I see mass. So the strategy above me, that was a bird. The strategy in front of me, that was a mastiff, or whatever. Mass-centric worldview is tertiary. So all these people in the world, they think that mass is primary. It's not. Mass is just coalesces on this energetic structure, which is driven by spirit. It's this, to see a spirit-centric worldview of the world. It's so key. How you make medicines, everything you do changes. Your goals, your intentions, who you work with, how you work, why you work.
Also, as you told me something about the mandala, what I understood a little bit, and I'll ask you questions accordingly, that with the person's planets, astrological planets, if we know that through the palm reading or his other ways, we can get the exact idea of his present condition, what is his bad condition or whatever condition because of certain arrangement of planets, and also his past, why those conditions came to him now, why he's suffering now because of his past karma, and how to rectify that, and then give him solutions, medical solutions, all also other angles. Can you give me some details about that? How you explain that?
Well, it's true. With the Veda Mandala, it's marvelous because you have a whole confluence of factors, both in diagnosis and in treatment. And so, again, like spirit-centric worldview, somebody has a rash on their arm, and you try to get rid of that rash. No, this rash, with the chart, I can see they had a divorce 7 years ago. They didn't and so they couldn't digest that divorce, and so they have
Something was pending.
something was burning in them, something there's angry or something, and so you got these five bodies, you got physical body, the mental body, the prana body, intellect body, things like this. So in the intellect body, they have this concept that partners, husbands, wives don't do something. Well, they did it. So then that's agitated. That agitation, what happens is that existence grinds their mind into the shape of isness, right? Their mind is a certain shape, thinks a certain concept, but it's not the truth. It's not real. And so that grinding generates all this emotional heat, which is like anger, frustration, jealousy, confrontation. And then that emotional heat goes into the physiology, heats up the blood and the liver. And then there's all these toxins in the blood and liver. And then the skin says, no worries, I can deal with it. Just give me your toxins. And so finally it goes from the physiology body into the physical body. And there's that rash. But if you know all those steps, you can treat it. And then with the Jyotish, you can see where it came from. And so
The root.
the root of it, exactly. That thing, the rash is just a very surface.
So I would call it medical astrology technically.
Yes.
This is like so because even if I've seen this that sometimes I have a condition, patient's condition, and they tell me the exact problem and no medicine is working on them.
Right.
First thing I ask them the event, the date of when it started, and then I ask them, did you go through some bad period or
Right.
bad things in
For
your
sure,
life during
yeah.
those days?
Right.
And they tell me that, and then I say, can you resolve it?
Right.
And then after you resolve, wait for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Your problem doesn't resolve,
Right.
then I'll try to help.
But still, you cut the root of the problem. Some of these things will have momentum, but that's and also you can see things in the palm, you can see things in the pulse, in the chart, in the eyes, in the quality of the voice. There's so much that with the Veda mandala, with the mandala of all these Vedic sciences, it's a powerful thing. And then you can treat people. You can give them a mantra. You can give them a diet. You can tell when to get up and what practices to do.
Which demigod is hurt, maybe, something like that. You have offended some demigod or some nakshatra or something, there's always something like that.
Yeah, well,
So you
the
have to
nakshatras.
you have to pray or do some mantras on that relation, I guess.
There's that. But realize that one of the precious things about the Vedic system is they take all these cosmic principles and they anthropomorphize them. Like the cosmic principle of sustainability, we call her Lakshmi. And then they draw her as this beautiful woman on a lotus. No, like a forest, trees come and go, but a forest can stay for thousands of years. That thousands of years, that's Lakshmi. And that creativity of a single species, that's like more Saraswati or Brahmin.
Can you share some examples of some chronic patients who took your help and they got cured? Just not the name, but just the patient's condition and how he got cured. And can you give some examples so that we can know how what type of things can be cured with this whole mandala idea?
Right. You can pretty much cure. There's karma. There's karma, and karma's karma. But besides karma, the deal is with there's such a confluence of factors that you can really figure out what's going on, and then you can guide this person to be their own source of healing. That's the best. One of the things that people need to be cured of is their wrongful sense of self. Like they might say 10 times a week, I need to do a cleanse, I need to do a cleanse. And they have this concept of they're dirty or whatever. If you make their sense of self, their sense of identity more and more authentic, previous to the mind, it's a great healing. And so that's one of the first things you do or work on to the extent that a person can get there, because so much is in the mind. It's mind-blowing.
Can you share any case study if you can just say an example?
Like a cancer, which is
like any real patient case study you can just.
Massive amount of hair loss
It's a lady?
In a young lady.
Indian?
No. And this example I gave is a good example.
So the lost hair.
Oh no, the one with the person who grew up in a place where just the rash one. Yeah.
Yes, of course. This is a good example.
Yeah, grew up in a place where the concept of how couples treat each other was really solid, and so that's in this deep causal part of the body called the Annamaya kosha, they say. And so then that whole triggering of how it cascaded through intellect body, into the emotional body, into the prana body, physiology, into the physical body. That's a good example. And then to treat her, one of the things, so of course you're going to treat topically, but then you're also going to show her that to normalize some of the pain that she's been through, that yes, she trusted that person, and yes, they misbehave, but people do that. And I tell you, one of the greatest medicines you can do, it's even like a path to enlightenment. You grow your heart big enough to hold it all. Like if somebody does you wrong, it's not good. People have consequences, but you grow your heart to hold it. You keep growing your heart bigger and bigger to hold it all. Like as you do that, like such an innate strength rises, and that strength can be the basis to cure practically anything. And so this person, so at that level, you train her mind, her intellect, to no longer like hold on to that concept of how partners behave, because nobody's perfect, and the person made a mistake.
Over expectation.
Yeah. And so that's the first step. And then you're also you go to the mind, you help them channel their anger, transform. It's all fire elements. It's all Agni. Like low quality Agni is just like really nasty hate. Medium quality Agni is in the mind is like ambition and things like this. High quality Agni is like compassion and curiosity. So you take all that emotional heat, and then you have her focus on why that person did it. And the more you focus, the more you learn about that person. It's a way of releasing that mental heat and transforming it into anger, into curiosity. It's a good thing. Then at the level of the physiology, doing like the blood cleaning herbs and the liver herbs, just cleaning that blood, cooling that blood. And then at the level of the body, doing some poultices on there, and to really get it. And then what happens is that rash wasn't just a rash; it was something that enabled her to really see this deep conditioning that was destroying her life. And so the rash is actually a message from life.
Just a sample.
Yeah, and the rash is just saying, hey, you got a deep problem, and you've ignored it so much, so now it's a rash on your arm. And then it's interesting because it's vanity that often makes a person do the deep work. Mm-hmm. They don't want the rash, they don't want the funny thing on their face. And so this person does the work. And now she's great. She's helping other people through the same experience. That's always one of the best medicines, by the way. It's
not just limited to one patient, but patient can further help.
Exactly.
Because he went through the same process of healing.
Yep.
Such a nice thing.
And to train people how to get out of the problem that you're in is one of the best ways to heal a person.
Amazing.
Because what happens, they have a thing, and then if I tell them, I'm going to send you 3 people in 4 months, and you have to train them. What happens is suddenly they take their problem and they objectify it because they have to study it. The moment you objectify it, you get distance from it. You get distance from it, you get perspective on it. You get perspective on it, you can navigate around it. And then you navigate around it, you gain information about it. You take the patterns in that information. Patterns in information is knowledge. And you hold that knowledge up. The knowledge you have becomes the wisdom that you are. That wisdom doesn't arise without compassion. And then the whole thing, and that compassion softens the situation. Yeah. And so then that person that illness, that disease turns to becomes a spark.
I also feel that most of our diseases are the unfinished business from our past.
No doubt. Remember what I said, all things according to digestive capacity. So if something doesn't get digested.
I have been also helping a lot of people with different kinds of therapies.
Oh, yeah.
And ghee therapy, medicated urine, medicated different things, mixed therapy like Chinese medicine and so many different things. But I realized that uh, most of the problems, when we go to the root cause, they are some unfinished business, as you told, and you have actually a third degree method of healing, which I don't have. I just tell them that you just finish the business, but they are not able to do that because they are not trained for doing it. Nobody trained them how
Can't
to.
spot it.
Yeah, because it's so much ego, so much.
Right.
Basically, it's all about forgiveness.
Right.
If you can forgive the person who hurt you the most, because people who are the close to you are the ones who hurt you the most.
True.
So if you can forgive him, then I think you will be disease free.
Yes.
So that is the art.
Right.
You have to learn from it, and it has a big spiritual connection. Because spiritually, in all the books we are taught, whatever happens to you is your past karma. So if you can accept that it is your karma, you got it not because somebody wanted to harm you, and you can settle down with that, accept the fact. And I think that's why a lot of spiritual gurus, they don't get sick and they have the tejas because they keep forgiving.
This is what I was saying. At the end of the day, one of the greatest therapies in spiritual practices, you simply grow your heart big enough to hold it all. Like with every breath, you can even like breathe your heart bigger and bigger and bigger. And my goodness, it's just, and from that, what happens, you get this nectar heart, but then you identify as it. It becomes a nectar self. And then, the Atma Bala, the strength of soul. If you have a nectar self, you breathe, like a column arises out of that, this column of almost like light. And that's like the Atma Bala. And so you have all these different bodies, right? And the deeper ones are closer to the soul. The physical body feeds on physical things. Mental body feeds on mental things. But the spirit body, when that feeds, that can feed on soul power. And if you can back up and identify and support that deep Atma Bala, everything changes. And it's based on a big heart. You grow your heart bigger, sense of self deepens. It's such a beautiful
So I have few things to tell you, because I've been in this whole spiritual thing and all this. So what I have learned, which I wanted to discuss and ask your permission, one thing is that as per Vedas, now knowledge should not be sold. We should never, education should never be a business. Education should be always free. This is one thing which I have learned in Vedas, and even in our society we give free education. And there is also, you believe in ghost, like there are ghosts, like different kind of ghosts are there. So there is one kind of ghost called Brahma Rakshas.
Bhuta Vidya.
Yes, Bhuta Vidya. So Brahma Rakshas is, the place where I stay in Mayapur, there are many Brahma Rakshas around in the temple and everywhere. So what is a Brahma Rakshas? That person who was a great knowledgeable person, very good devotee of Lord, and he had a lot of knowledge, but he didn't give that knowledge to his fellows because he was holding it for some things or some cash or whatever. So he did not get liberation. He became a Rakshas, Bhuta, and since he is a devotee, he became a Brahma Rakshas. Now Brahma Rakshas are one type of Rakshas who are very powerful. They can move chairs and so many things. In our area, I've seen people, those Rakshas doing activities, and that is one type of Rakshas whom you chant the Lord's name, they chant again.
Nice.
So there is one. So since you have so much knowledge and you have written 47 books and all that, so I don't want you to become Brahma Rakshas. So how can we get access to your brain so that we can copy all your information and share with everybody?
It's most important.
Yeah. Well, it's great. It's true.
True.
It's like 150,000 pages written.
Yeah.
It's just and so many different things.
Yeah.
So, what's happening with a few of us, Sharu and Uma? There's this thing called Mighty Network, which is like a social network that has a theme. Like some of the Mighty Networks are used to like maybe 60 teachers will get together and they'll have all these classes, usually like a monthly fee.
Is it all the topics what you have covered in your knowledge books, all those topics are also discussed?
No, we've just started. We've only launched it a few weeks ago. So right now what's on there is the yoga of time. The yoking to time is one of the the best medicines you can do, like the daily routine, the monthly routine, which is a lot about Akadashi, the yearly routine, which is like the equinoxes and the solstices and the seasons. You yoke to time, and it's such a foundation to so many other practices. Kali, even the word Kali, she's the Shakti of time. She is the destructive facet of time. And so if you yoke to the rhythms of time accurately, you're good. But when you fall off the rhythms of time, you get hit and you get taken out. That's Kali. Kali is and Durga is the rhythms of, Durga is that which endures. The D-U-R of Durga is the same D-U-R of the English enduring or durable. And so Durga is nature, the fullness of nature. And so people think that it's like in terms of space, but nature is space-time. And the space, continents move and mountains rise and fall and oceans come and go. But the rhythms never move. And so aligning to the rhythms of the day and the month and the year and the life, this is actually really what these goddesses are. And that's what goddess worship is. And so that's the yoga of time, yoking to the rhythms of time. And so much comes out of that. And so that is what we have up now.
So you mean to say this mighty network will take care of the knowledge or whatever you have with you in the form of if they can involve themselves in the different discussions in the mighties of your part, 60 mighties.
Yeah.
So they can exchange, learn from one another and maybe also add to it.
Right. Exactly. Vedamandala.com. Vedamandala, VEDAMANDALA.com.
So, what is the monthly fee for that?
Well, the surface of it, just to be part of the community, read all the posts, and that level is free.
Okay.
It's like a social network.
So, whom you charge if they want? There's any point for charge?
People who want to dive in and start taking all the courses.
Okay, for the course part, if they want to do the courses, there's some small fee and they can attend all the courses.
Yeah, and once the fee's there, you have access to all the courses. That's kind of how these networks
What
work.
is the kind of fee we charge them?
It has some variance depending on where you're from and everything. But in the
Average?
In the States, it's around $80.
Per month?
Yeah. And then you also get live things. You get so much for that. It's a great deal.
Do you also give scholarship? If somebody requests.
Oh yeah, yes.
So that's
My goodness.
Because an Indian cannot afford so much.
Yes.
No doubt. No, and we're all about it. I'm always giving away.
Very
things
few
for
people can
free.
afford.
Because education should not be, like we should have an option to other
Right,
options also, right?
You know,
Those sincere people,
right.
they can pay maybe later in future, maybe
Right.
as a donation, maybe
I'm
as an option.
yes. I'm famous for it, giving away things for free.
That's great.
But Don, the rules of giving. People think that money is what's to be given, but if you read in the Puranas the rules of Don, it's actually like wisdom and knowledge, and money is one of the last things in the Vedic list and in the Jain list. Both things of Don, and so to give knowledge and to give wisdom and to empower people, it's such a good thing. And part of the rules of Don say that if you have and you don't give, you're a criminal.
Yeah.
Or if you,
Of course, if you get some knowledge from your guru, you should contribute in some way.
yeah,
So that could be either what you have in your displacement, or what that is the only way actually, or what your guru asks you to do.
yeah,
At least as a respect you have to do. So that, of course,
Yes.
maybe I was thinking if you will have an option of coupon code, CowGrazing we can put,
Yeah.
and then they can have a different way of
Yeah.
joining, and then they can give a unconditional donation,
right.
which could be more or less.
Yeah.
Like, I would like to contribute to your project
I love it.
in some way that you can carry on with the background software
Yeah, yeah.
expenses and all that,
Yeah,
and you don't lose money with the free people,
right.
and at the same time we have larger audience.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, I can help you with that definitely. And so because I like the unconditional part, so that more people are involved, more sincere souls are involved,
Right.
and like 60 is not a big number. We need 6,000 brains, talking all these subjects.
Right.
We are just giving. I mean, what discussion we are having is just like a drop in the ocean. We didn't discuss anything really,
Right.
but we still have discussed something about the areas you have touched upon. The idea was what the areas you have touched upon, what the audience is watching here, what they can discuss with you. You know, you can understand how your brain works. That was the idea to introduce you here. And now my brain is now, you know, getting into so much curiosity, you know, about the subject we discussed. You know, I have so many questions now. You know, I'm just, you know, coming up with, and we'll, of course, maybe in the Mighty Network we can discuss it more. But it's really good, and all the efforts you are doing. You know, I would also want request you maybe in the near future, after 47 books, you can come out with 4 more, and then we make a library 51 books, you know, downloadable something with some unconditional donation or something.
Love it.
So at least the mighty networks, the mighties, who are part of that network, we call them mighties. So they, if they have read your books, you know, then the whole discussion will be at a different level. You know, and that will happen when they afford the book. So we let them.
That's true.
And I would, you know, like the way I present books, like if I have read a book, you know, what attracted me most about the book, I would just talk about that part, and people will want to read that book, you know, something like that. I can make several videos on those books maybe, and so we can raise the standard of our. We have to cultivate the audience. If you see my channel, there are similar channels, YouTube channels everywhere, who have like 10 times more subscribers, but they are not looking for cultivating the audience. They are just attracting, exciting them, and then just leaving them there. So then they are just in a hanging position. They know nothing, and they are all excited. So that creates more damage, but they get their subscribers or everything, and they get money and all that. But I'm more into, you know, banging the nail, and just, you know, you must understand it. So I make like 2-3 hours videos, 10 hour videos. You know, my one video of mine, 11-hour video, it's like having 100,000 views.
Wow.
People sat down and really watched it.
Unbelievable.
A long video having 100,000 plus videos. So the point is, when they start hearing, they don't want to stop. You know, it's because we are detailing. You know, we try to give most because we want to cultivate the audience. So it's a different thing. And now people, when they ask me questions after hearing all these 700 films, my average film size is 2 hours, 1 to 2 hours. So now they ask a different level questions, like, and answering them is a video itself. You know, so we want to cultivate, we want to create a community of intellects and cultivate them and educate them, and so much that they can educate us.
100%. Yeah.
So that's the whole mighty part. It's actually a project which I would also love to be part of and support. And you know, it just started 2 weeks ago. I think that the same time I learned about him. You know,
but the online version. I mean, I've been doing this for 30 years, but the online version of it.
It's just 2 weeks. No, I would say the mighty should also become an offline where we meet.
That's actually
that could be an event somewhere, or that could be a mighty event everywhere in the world. You know,
I take people up into the high Himalayas and for weeks on end, and then, but so often I have to spend so much time giving them the basics. If they take the basics on this online course, then we can really go to the depth.
Yeah, we could keep a prerequisite. You have to do this much. I have an offer for you, just because we are discussing. We could organize a course, like whatever you do, or something which is for the kind of audience I have, and we could sponsor the cost of event, including the food and other thing, and your basic financial needs, you know, and or we could host it wherever you like, or we have places also. Like, I have many eco villages. One of them is Udaipur with 85 people capacity. We can fund everything. Food, stay, and all that for students. We do like that. We never charge students. We don't even take donations for students. And we get, when we announce, we get donations from everywhere, unconditional. So this way, everybody is satisfied. Student respects the teacher like a parent. And the relation is not limited to just an exchange, which is a beautiful part of our. And then they also spread it free. That's the goal. You know, like in the today's world, what is happening is youth who is studying very nicely, getting good grades, he's exploited for money to become a doctor, and he exploits the patient all his life. He was exploited and he exploits it. It's a ripple effect. But if the same student was nurtured, given everything free, given full support, he would do the same for all his patients. So my way of learning and teaching is that I would do all the efforts, I would beg, I would take loan, would do anything just to impart the knowledge free. Like permaculture is one course we did in USA. We were $3,000-4,000 we charge per student.
Yeah.
I did that course for 120 students completely free, including free food, even tickets we gave free for poor students who couldn't come. And today I see the effect. All the students they're teaching free to everybody. This is way we work.
Beautiful.
So I'm not here to exploit anyone. I want to help everybody who's also teaching. We help them what their needs are as much we can. So we don't exploit, because if at any level on the name of charity, if we exploit, that will come to the student ultimately. So we don't have to exploit anybody. We have to take care of needs of everybody, and it works out somehow. Just with faith. So I think whatever we discussed is really good enough for people to understand the mighty network, the scope of learning with your knowledge of things, and also we'll put the link of your books, name something they can explore something over the net. And if there is any message for our audience, please you can give the last message.
The message. It's a wild time, in the world today, and there's so much fear and anger and unknown. And so the basic medicine is to, if you look out in the world, you're not going to see a pretty picture, and you're not going to see a pretty version of yourself. The world is like a mirror. And so there's going to be a flux of informing. The world's going to tell you who you are, and it's not going to be a very good thing. And it might even invoke more fear and worry and anger, whatever. So the thing is, you've got to go in. You've got to dive in, see who you really are. Be aware of awareness, conscious of consciousness. Just look at yourself and deepen your sense of self. And there's so many different ways of doing this. And that is going to be the main medicine, to empower yourself so that you can empower others, to see yourself so then you can truly see others, to deepen this identity so you get a better sense of the oneness, and then serve. It's just, no matter how poor you are, whatever you have to give. Like if you can start generating if you can start generating just a very generous spirit, then that sense of generosity, it's going to change your sense of who you are. And what's going to end up happening is that instead of the world informing you who you are, you will inform the world what it is. And this is what the world needs. The world is changing so fast, and people are losing their footings. If you're solid, people around you will be solid. If you can like grow your heart big enough to hold it all, it's going to be such great medicine. That's Dharpana, one of the facets of the Veda Mandala, the yoga of relationship. You have to stand together, and to get that one with all, you have to be one within first. So many beautiful techniques in this tradition, in the Veda Mandala, to do this. How's that?
Amazing. I really love it, and this is the beginning of our relation, and also we are teaching things in a different paradigm. It's so nice. I'm really glad that we have something like this, and we have known you and your family, like Santosh and so many others who are already experienced this highness, like the beauty of simplicity, the beauty of generosity, the beauty of understanding the roots and our Vedic ancient teachings, so beautiful. The way the way you have experienced and learned it, it's really new for me, and I'm so happy that we have begun a relation so that more and more people can get educated. So I'll take your leave, and it was so nice, and we'll try to reconnect maybe on a live session sometime in future. Maybe through YouTube I'll give you some links, and maybe then we can have more discussions also live with all our 200,000, 300,000 followers. And it'll be so nice. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Hare Krishna.